Choosing between a MacBook Air and a MacBook Pro, it used to be so simple, right? It was basically portability or power. But now, with Apple Silicon, that choice has become way more strategic. It's really a decision about the future of your work. We're not just buying a new laptop anymore, we're investing in the right platform for the next 5 years.
So here's how we're going to break it down in this explainer. First, we'll reframe the choice itself. Then, we're going to do a deep dive on the silicon to really understand the fundamental split between the M4 and M5 chips. After that, we'll look at how the physical design actually dictates your real-world performance. And finally, we'll lay out exactly how to choose the right machine for your future.
Okay, so let's jump right in with the new Mac choice. You remember how it used to be, right? Air for the light stuff, Pro for the heavy lifting? Well, you can pretty much throw that thinking out the window. It's completely outdated. With the incredible power of Apple Silicon, that gap has blurred, which actually makes your decision more critical than ever before. And that brings us to the big question. Is this choice still simple? And the answer is a hard no. What used to be a pretty straightforward calculation, price versus portability, is now this complex commitment to a whole performance philosophy. And it's a bet on how your own work is going to change over time. This slide really gets to the heart of my whole argument. Think of the M4 MacBook Air as the absolute peak of what we know right now. It's the perfection of the present. The M5 MacBook Pro, though, that's something different. It's built from the ground up to be the platform for the future. A future that is absolutely going to be dominated by AI and really intense computational tasks. So how does this whole present versus future idea actually play out in the hardware? Well, the story starts with the silicon. The M4 and M5 chips aren't just one little generation apart. Nope, they represent a fundamental split in Apple's design philosophy. It's like a fork in the road for computing. The M4 chip is best understood as the peak of an already mature architecture. It's been highly optimized, focusing on just incredible power efficiency and that snappy, single-threaded speed that makes all of today's common tasks like web browsing, writing, light creative work feel totally instant. It really is a masterpiece of refinement. The M5, on the other hand, is a revolution. Its architecture has been fundamentally reoriented from the ground up. It's not just about making the stuff we do today a little bit faster. It's about enabling a whole new class of software through what's called massively parallel AI acceleration. It moves machine learning right into the very fabric of the GPU itself. And the key piece of tech that makes this all happen is something called GPU neural accelerators. So instead of relying only on the neural engine for AI tasks, the M5 integrates dedicated AI hardware directly into each and every GPU core. This allows it to process AI tasks with the immense power and parallelism of the graphics hardware. It is a total game changer. This table really grounds those claims in some hard numbers. Just look at the key GPU feature. The M5 adds those crucial neural accelerators. And check out the memory bandwidth, a nearly 30% jump to 153 gigabytes per second. That's not just a spec bump. It's absolutely essential for feeding those new AI cores. And the result? A projected 4-fold increase in GPU AI compute. It's not just a faster chip, it's a functionally different one. And this all leads to a pretty stark long-term implication. As developers, including Apple itself, start writing software that takes advantage of this unique M5 hardware, we're going to see a future capability gap. And it won't be a gentle slope where the M4 kind of slowly gets left behind. For AI-centric tasks, it's going to be a steep cliff. Now, a chip's potential is one thing, but real-world speed is something else entirely. In this section, we're going to see how the physical design of the laptop itself, the chassis, is actually an active component that dictates performance, all based on how it handles heat. The difference here is simple, but it's profound. The M4 Air is fanless, using passive cooling. It's brilliant for short bursts of activity, but if you put it under a sustained heavy load, it has to slow itself down, or throttle, to manage all that heat. The M5 Pro, however, has fans. It has an active cooling system designed to let that chip run at its maximum speed indefinitely. This quote just puts it perfectly. If you're pushing the MacBook Air with a heavy video render and you hear absolutely nothing, that silence isn't a feature. It's the sound of the machine protecting itself by cutting back on performance. And here's the flip side. That fan noise you hear from the MacBook Pro, that's not a flaw. It's the opposite. It is the audible, physical evidence that the machine is maintaining its peak performance hour after hour without a single compromise. This chart shows you exactly what that means in the real world.
So, in a simulated 10-minute render, the M5 Pro holds 100% of its performance. The M4 Air, it starts strong, but as that heat builds up, it throttles and it ends up losing about 30% of its potential speed. For anyone whose job involves waiting for renders or compiles, that difference is everything. So, this brings us to our final section. How do you actually choose? We're going to tackle what I call the crossover dilemma, and we'll look at the other factors beyond just the chip that make up the whole professional ecosystem. Right, because the processor isn't the whole story. The Pro model gives you a whole ecosystem of advantages that act like performance multipliers. You get a 120Hz ProMotion display for that buttery smooth scrolling, a true HDR screen for creative work, crucial I/O like an HDMI port and an SD card slot that saves you from dongle hell, and a much better audio system. Every single one reduces friction in your workflow. And this leads to the critical decision point for so many people, the crossover dilemma. What happens when you upgrade the RAM and the storage on an M4 Air, and suddenly it costs the same as a base model M5 Pro? Which one is actually the smarter investment? Well, this matrix delivers the verdict. At that crossover price point, the M5 Pro is the superior long-term investment for almost everyone. For the same money, you get fundamental hardware advantages you just can't configure on the Air. Active cooling for sustained performance, a professional-grade HDR display, and the M5's future-proof architecture. You're moving from a machine that perfects the present to one that's truly a platform for the future. So it really boils down to two simple paths. If your work is mainly short, burst tasks, writing, web browsing, project management, and ultimate portability and silence are your top priorities, the M4 Air is a phenomenal choice. But if your work involves any kind of sustained load, or if you plan on using the next generation of AI tools, the M5 Pro is the clear winner. Ultimately, this whole explainer brings us to one final question. And it's not about the machine, it's about you. What is the future of your work? Are you just refining your current workflows, or are you preparing to embrace the next wave of technology? Your answer to that will tell you exactly which Mac to buy.